And say welcome everyone to our weekly call. Hope you all had a fabulous weekend. Um, right, let me just share my screen momentarily. Um, so, just by way of a reminder, the main theme for this week is, as you can see on the title side, the challenges ahead for HTTP, which links to a blog post that Robin Marx from Akamai put up on the APNIC site. I don't know, but probably about a month ago now, give or take, which I shared in the weekly news headlines and generated some comments. So based on that, Robin has kindly agreed to sort of join us, set some context, and then we can have a discussion. So I'm going to stop sharing and invite Robin to duly do that scene setting and then see where the discussion takes us. So, Robin, thank you for coming, and over to you.
Absolutely. So thank you all for having me. I didn't know this existed. One of my Akamai colleagues pinged me and he said, there's a discussion on your blog, which is weird because I can never predict which of my blogs will do well or get spreads. This one, I thought nobody would be interested in this series of blogs, but this was the most viral I went in 2 years, I think, but fine. Just to give a little bit of context, this was first posted on the Internet Society blog. And the goal there was to really appeal to a broader audience, so also a not very technical audience. So it was intentional, quite high level. And I also intentionally conflated some subtopics and, undid some nuances intentionally for that type of audience. This content then got used as is for the APNIC blog. I was not entirely happy about that, but that's how it happened. What I think, if I can understand the comments in the mail thread as far as I can see a bit, is that most of the comments are about that it's not nuanced enough, and I agree. But that was also not the intent. Right? So just so you know about that, if it would have been written for something like APNIC from the start, I would have gone a bit more in detail. I did want to give like a little bit of more in-depth detail then what I actually meant when I said some of these things. So let me see if I can read this right. So HTTP3 and QUIC are of course more encrypted than TCP and TLS, or TLS over TCP. But like I said in the article, I think most firewalls, what you would call a typical firewall of me, like something like connection tracking, can still be done to a large extent. Yes, the connection closure is now encrypted, but you can still watch for the handshakes. You can still do some heuristics on that. You can still do ECA, SNI inspection, right? It's just TLS 1.3. Anything that you can do in TLS 1.3 over TCP, you can still do over QUIC. The only thing you need to do is have a standards compliant QUIC implementation in said firewall. And that is where things usually go wrong. That is where the firewall vendors have been very slow, in my opinion, to adopt. And where they, in my opinion, have also spread a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about QUIC and HTTP3. Saying things like, oh, you should disable this for now because it's not safe, that kind of stuff. Just because they're behind, in my opinion, not because it's not possible. And so that's why that's in the article, because most non-super technical people, non-protocol people, probably hear more about the firewall vendors than about the IETF, and they might have heard wrong information. Another thing that I said there was that the firewalls do need this. Let me see. Require significant changes. For me, this is mostly if they want to support connection migration. So in QUIC, you have the connection migration feature that allows you to just keep the same connection across IPs and networks. The thing is, after you've migrated, you start seeing that there is no new handshake, basically. So the firewall doesn't actually know that it's the same connection because the connection ID also changes to have some privacy preserving capabilities. And what this basically means is that for the firewall, a migrated QUIC connection looks indistinguishable from attacker traffic. So there's no way to know if you're dealing with an attacker trying to manipulate, trying to get into the network through spoofed connection IDs, or if it's an actual migrated connection. It is possible if you have like a special encoding of the connection ID and you can do encryption, but then you need to have the firewall and the backend servers working together. You need to have a common config or even a bootstrapping protocol for them to talk to each other. That's possible in things like CDNs, not possible for typical hosting companies, and so on and so on. I could not go into that kind of detail for the Internet Society blog. But so that's what I meant with significant changes are needed. That was a very shorthand to do that. So in short, I stand behind that, right? Quick is relatively firewallable, but the complexity is much more than TCP over TLS. And firewall vendors are too slow to catch up with that, in my opinion. So that's one part. And then the second part is specifically for you all, probably the encrypted DNS and the ECH, or as I will call it to my dad's Echo. Right? Much cooler name. I don't know why they renamed it to ECH. So Echo, again, things that are often conflated, I think, by less technical people, right? It's about more privacy secure protocols. And they don't really care if that's, nicely delineated within TLS or DNS, or if Quick and HTTP3 comes along for the ride. They usually don't care that much. And so I wanted to make that delineation also for the broader audience, especially if this would go to, government and law, people writing the laws, that they would clearly know that it's not Quick or HTTP3 specifically that they should be concerned with, that it's a much broader approach in DOH, in Echo, in everything that it entails. And it's not just Quick and H3, it's an ecosystem challenge that we have, right? That was my main goal with that part of the blog post, to address that. Where that, of course, has interesting interactions with firewalls and SNI and inspection and the DNS and everything as well. I know I couldn't do that in the article, right? So that was, I hope that provides enough context and resolves, I probably feel, most of the questions or remarks that were on the list there. With the final remark that I would like to make is that in general, I feel like the IETF is kind of bad at doing that kind of public outreach or explaining these kind of nuances to non-technical people. And I would like to see other people doing that more as well. Maybe better than I did. I'm not going to say it was perfect what I did. Would love to hear from you, but I would love to see the IETF being more aware of that and doing better in the future. Let me say it like that. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm open for questions, comments. I'm perfectly fine with being called an idiot as long as I can learn something new. So have at it.
Fantastic, and thank you for the sort of scene set. That's really helpful, and also understanding the context of why you were writing the article or who for. That's also very useful, Robin, in terms of the sort of target audience. Interesting that it found its way. Not putting words in your mouth now, but something which was written for the Internet Society found its way unedited into the APNIC blog, which is, I think, as you were sort of hinting at, quite a different audience typically.
Yeah. I tried to prevent that, but they were adamant in just keeping the content as is. But yeah.
Oh, okay, well, it's probably a compliment there, I guess. Okay, well, let's open up to see if anyone does have any questions or comments. And as always, if you do, pop them in the chat if that's easiest, or by all means, raise your virtual hand as Kathleen has just done, right on cue. So Kathleen, over to you.
Thank you for the overview. And I actually have not read the blog, but one thing I'd like to just offer is on the APNIC, just so you're aware, every single time I post a blog, I have two people that always say it's awful, right? So they never put comments, they never explain why. I think they just hate me. And so don't worry about that. Right?
No, but
Take
in
the
this
good
case,
feedback to learn.
in this case,
Yeah,
one
go
of the
ahead.
people was Paul Vixie, so you know.
Oh, okay. Yes. Paul knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah, mine are always anonymous and they don't say anything. There's nothing constructive. But there's always going to be some. So
Of
take
course.
what you can learn, right? Paul would do it with good intent to help you fix it. So
I know that's why I agreed to come here as well.
yes. Yeah, and don't worry about anyone else who wouldn't step up to help, right? We're supposed to all make things better together. Nobody can do this all on their own. I just wanted to offer that.
Thanks, Kathleen.
So a note to anyone sort of putting star ratings, I presume you're referring to, Kathleen, on APNIC articles. If you put a 1 star, maybe add a comment or two as well to highlight why.
Right. And most times, ratings are nice, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Oh, okay. There's a comment in the chat from David. What did the blog mean by Quick's heavy encryption, Robin?
So by this, I mostly mean that Quick encrypts more of the packet, right? So in TLS, you're basically encrypting just the payload. And in Quick, you're also encrypting all the most of the transport level metadata, right? Things like packet numbers, ACK frames, like I said, connection close signals. Those are not publicly visible on the wire in Quick, while they are in TLS and in TCP with TLS. That's what I meant by that. Arguably, indeed, not nuanced enough for this audience. I agree.
But they're not written for this audience, so
yeah.
Okay, that seems to have addressed that. So thank you for that, Robin. Anybody else with any thoughts or questions for Robin?
Well, I guess what's your take on Quick versus DNS over Quick? I know they're not the same, but anyway, just want to see what your thoughts are.
So this is a bit weird. I'm far from a DNS expert. It's also important for this group. For me, I don't really understand why you would do DNS over Quick versus DNS over HTTP3. Would be my answer there. I think if you really want to hide stuff more, DOH3 makes more sense than DOQ. I think you get a lot of other things from DOH3 as well. For example, debuggability tools, which I'm big into, that you wouldn't get over a pure DOQ. But really, I don't think I'm very, what should I say, qualified to make a very good distinction between the two. Quick versus DOQ by itself, I don't think is a very useful comparison because they have different properties, right? Does that answer your question?
Well, I suspect Ralph might be coming in on that as well, possibly, Ralph.
So that will show you now that in big companies, not all the same time, the same people have the company has the same opinion. So I'm sort of on the opposite side of that argument, because I think DNS over H3 over Quick brings you all the kind of burden that you have with HT and the kind of things you can do with HTTP, with headers and what have you, that have proven bad for some time. So I think DNS over Quick directly, having a direct kind of representation of the DNS protocol within the Quick stack is a better solution. And I mean, in the end, what I think will end up is pretty much that clients, or stub resolvers as we call them in the DNS, will use DOH3 to connect to their resolvers, and their resolvers will connect to DNS over Quick to the authorities. That's probably what the long-term thing is. So for people doing resolvers, we have to do both. That's bad, but
I can't disagree with any of that. No, and that's a very good point. Like, I'm speaking just from my personal perspective and opinions, right? I'm not representing Akamai in any way here.
Yeah. Same here.
But that's no, but I agree with all of that. I'm just mainly thinking from the whole privacy perspective, or bad actors trying to figure out what the DNS traffic is doing. From that perspective, I think it's more useful to hide it or to disguise it as HTTP3 traffic than as pure quick traffic, because there probably won't be many pure quick or simple protocols over quick traffic in the long run. But yeah, I also fully agree with what Ralph is saying. So.
And from memory, I think there are some performance gains by using DNS over quick versus over HTTP from the sort of relatively limited benchmarking that's been undertaken so far, as I recall. But there's a couple of comments in the chat, I think both relating to that, and then another separate question. So in the chat, Kathleen has commented, your endpoints differ as can use cases, and that could help lead to selection of how to encrypt DNS. So horses for courses, I guess, is a sort of interpretation of that. And Kurt has commented, I think, again, linked to this, is it complementing HTTP3 and quick, or rather not needed? Not 100% sure here too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that question would do. DNS over quick is of course something different. It's just using quick or HTTP3 as a transport. You just keep the DNS as a protocol by itself. So it's, yes, it's complementing them. You can't do the DNS without the DNS itself, but you can swap out TCP and TLS for quick and HTTP3.
Yeah. Okay.
Kurt had another question on Echo.
Yes. So what is your opinion? It just scrolled up my screen just as I was reading out. What's your opinion on ECH personal versus company versus public perception? That will be interesting to me. So do you have what's your opinion on it? It's probably let's just start with that as a really simple question. Do you have an opinion on it, Robin?
I think my opinion is on the bottom part of the blog there as well, where I'm like, history will say whether all the push towards privacy is better or worse for end users in the end. Conceptually, it's good. Obviously, practically, you're hiding everything from everyone in between, but you're giving even more power to the people at the endpoints who already have all of that much power. I definitely see value in people asking for control over access networks for certain use cases, like child traffic guarding and what have you. I don't agree that we should have a totalitarian controlled internet, obviously, but it's a difficult balance to make, and to just one-handedly enforce something like Echo and full DOH without having any type of government or local law enforcement involvement and agreement in this is just going to cause too much of a pushback, I think, which we're seeing right now, in my opinion, right? These proposals that we're seeing for backdooring and the root certificates that the European Union wants us to accept, that kind of stuff, that is somewhat in that direction, and I don't like that at all. So I like ECH or Echo. I don't think we should force it through just from the protocol or technical community. That's my opinion. Again, not Akamai's opinion. And from the public perception, I think it's way too polarized right now, especially in countries like the UK, right? Which is one of the consequences of, in my opinion, the IETF being bad at outreach about all of this to the wider public, and also one of the reasons I wanted to highlight that aspect in the blog that I wrote, for better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are all sort of fair, balanced personal comments, just sort of noting your point about not Akamai's position, whatever that might be, which is fine. Yeah, I mean, we've discussed on this call before. I guess there are trade-offs. There's a sort of privacy versus security. Often those are conflated in conversations, and people get them confused. As somebody once said, I think you can have security without privacy. You can't have privacy without security. And as you were sort of hinting at, Robin, if there are various third parties have a strong position on your endpoint, doesn't matter how well encrypted your communications are across a network, you've still got the whole, dare I say, surveillance capitalism model running full steam ahead on your endpoint. So your perception of privacy might be somewhat different to the reality, but that's probably a conversation for another time. Okay, let's see if anybody else has got any other comments on this topic or the blog post. If you've had a chance to look at it. And if I've missed somebody's question in the chat, please shout. I don't think I have. I don't think anyone's currently typing, and I'm not seeing a rush of additional hands.
That's fine. I would say if people have any more questions or want to follow up or have a more in-depth discussion, I'm always open. You can always email me about that as well. Keeping in mind that I am indeed not a DNS expert. Go to Ralph for that. Huh?
Yeah,
But
he looks pleased.
I mainly approach this from the HTTP3 and quick angle. That's where I mainly come from, right?
Yeah, and I think your context setting at the start was I think invaluable in just sort of underscoring the fact it was necessarily high level, so there were some maybe generalizations which it's hard to simplify things and keep them entirely on point all the way through. But probably more than sufficient for the audience it was originally written for, I'm sure. Okay, well, right. Well, let's pause there. So thank you, Robin, for that. That's much appreciated. And you're obviously welcome to stay or leave at any point should your dinner need attention as appropriate. But what I'm going to do, let me reshare my screen again. So hopefully you can all see this. So I'm just going to talk a little bit, just remind you some of the recent sort of headlines from the last week or so, and then just we've got a few sort of deadlines coming up for calls for papers, submissions, etc., conferences, and so on. So I'll just highlight those but before we round up. So rather topically, this sort of links in quite nicely. Kathleen, who wrote a blog post a couple of weeks ago or so, that was picked up also by APNIC. This time, as I say, sort of segues neatly on from the discussion we've just had, focusing on encrypted client hello. Looking, as you would have seen, at some of the implications for security, I think principally in the enterprise environment, on the back of the sort of ECH extension to TLS 1.3. And coincidentally, Arno's not on the call today, but Arno Tedai of Broadcom sort of joined a podcast to also talk about ECH. So I put a link to that as well, but it is in French. So do bear that in mind. You will need to be fluent in French for that to be useful. but that's out there as well. So there's a couple of ECH related pieces this week. Just skip over, I think, most of the rest of those. Maybe highlight just a couple of other things. There was an interesting piece, well, at least I thought it was interesting, in dark reading, sort of security orientated, unsurprisingly. The reason I thought it was interesting, it coined the phrase initial access brokers, which I didn't know was a thing. Maybe those of you that follow security matters more closely will be completely old hat, but yeah, people that get sort credentials and make those available as part of a sort of malware as a service type activity. So it just references initial access brokers in that particular piece, which as I say, I was quite intrigued at. And then perhaps more usefully, just the bottom piece there, top DNS, the Echo, ECO in this case, German Industry Association. They've been running a series of different best practice related webinars. The one coming up, they're partnering with the DNS Abuse Institute, who are sharing their sort of system they got, sort of dashboard they have in place to measure phishing and malware across the DNS ecosystem. So that's coming up, I think next week. I realize I put the date on there, which is unfortunate. So I thought that worth highlighting, as that could well be of interest to some of the people on this call. And there's a whole bunch of other interesting stuff in the news this week, not least of it, Sam Altman being ousted from OpenAI. Was it yesterday? It seems like a long time ago now, but now an employee of Microsoft, I gather, from the sort of headlines today. So a fairly fast-moving story. Not really relevant to anything other than just interesting. There's a short piece on AdGuard on just highlights from a recent ad filtering developers summit, which again I thought that was quite interesting. Then a few pieces on the sort of European Commission and some policy updates. So those of you with perhaps more of an eye on the policy side may find those of use. Well, one from Centre, the sort of European Registry sort of umbrella organisation, and then a separate one from the Centre for Democracy and Technology, the sort of US sort of human rights, sort of privacy orientated group. So slightly different perspectives, but both quite interesting in their own right. Okay, and then perhaps also to highlight, we've got some deadlines coming up over the next few weeks. So OARC, if you're interested at presenting either in person or remotely at the OARC 42 event, which takes place in Charlotte in early February, then the deadline for submissions is this Wednesday, so that's coming up very soon. So you got sort of another couple of days to put your submissions in for that. And then, as you can see, not long after that, FOSDEM 2024, they're hosting a DNS dev room, and they've asked for sort of proposals for that by the 8th of December. And then Morg has got, if you want to give a presentation at Morg, that's sort of middle of December. So you've got about 3 weeks for that. A bit longer if you want to do a lightning talk, but if you actually want to give us a presentation in the sort of the main program, you've got about 3 weeks. And shortly after that, the deadline for NANOG 90 on the 18th of December. So, and then as you can see, there's more stuff after that. Also, NANOG is now confirmed for Charlotte the Monday through Wednesday of the week immediately after OARC. You may recall that they were meant to be back to back with NANOG first than OARC, but because the hotel that Nenor were proposing to use is decided to close for renovation, then it's moved to the following Monday through Wednesday instead. So it's either side of the weekend. And yeah, I saw Kurt. Yeah, I know that the morgue links are the same. I think they both take you to the same web page. So that's deliberate. Should be right. If I'll check afterwards to be absolutely sure, but I believe that's correct. The information you need is on for both of them is on the same web page, but I will double check after this call to be sure. And then lastly, from me, and then we're open up for any other business. It's a shame Peter's not on the call this week. So this time next week, we're going to talk about the Ethereum name service and whether the sort of blockchain naming it as a whole means that the DNS is obsolete. So colleagues from the DNS Research Federation will join us for that. Georgia and Nathan, I think, will lead that discussion. Haven't finalised for the week after, and then the week after that, tentatively, we'll sort of focus on an internet standards tracker. Using example one that's already in prototype for the ITU, and there are plans to develop the same capability for the IETF. So I thought that would be useful to take a sort of further look at that. But more details on that as that's confirmed. Okay, and that I think is everything for me. I see Dave remains skeptical about the sort of blockchain DNS, so we look forward to that discussion next week. He'll be jeering from the sidelines, heckling from the sidelines, as so George is sort of giving us a proposal. I'm not sure she's actually sort of specifically in favour of it, I hasten to add, but is just sort of giving us a point of view on it, but we will see. Right, and that's everything from me, so I think I will pause there to see if anyone's got any other business. And in particular, I was going to ask if sort of Dave Tao, if you wanted to say anything further on DNS Delic, as I shamefully didn't manage to record what you said last week.
So we're still working on getting the drafts out. I will be presenting it right about the basic idea for anybody who missed it. The key idea is that Ralph is also on the call here, and Petr Spacek, and we're evolving an idea that Tim April originally proposed a couple of years ago, to have a new parent level record that would indicate not just the name of where you can continue your resolution process, but actually the capabilities of that server to contact. And so we're looking at this as not only immediately we can start taking advantages of things that are already specified, like DNS over TLS or DNS over HTTPS, by indicating that, oh, if you want to talk to one of these servers, you can learn that opportunistically as part of your resolution process from the parent. But kind of what gave it new fire recently was also the idea, like, if we really wanted to evolve the DNS and add, like features that are not encumbered by the existing protocol, how would we get resolvers to start talking to that? And it seems like the foundational element that we need is a way to indicate to resolvers, oh, if you want to talk this type of thing, then here's how you can contact the server about it. And that's the key idea. If Ralph has anything that he wants to add, he's right here too.
No, that's pretty much a nice sum up. Thanks. Perfect.
Well, and I did put on the page with the link to the recording for the call last week, so links to some additional material on that as well, if anyone is interested in that. Patrick, I think, has posted a question in the chat linked to that sort of proposal?
Okay, let me take that. So
Okay.
one of the things that kind of always was a problem within the DNS, and we had a couple of people from various DNS companies at the hackathon, was that the NS record has two places that's defined in the DNS hierarchy. One in the parent and one in the child. And there always has been, since the DNS has started, a debate on what do you follow. And there are different opinions on that. And so as sort of people could not and can still not agree on that, it kind of brings all kinds of operational problems with it. So the idea here is to pretty much, we'll make a hard cut. We say the parent defines where to go next with the DLAC record. And the DLAC record only exists at the parent, and the DLAC record is signed at the parent. However, the DLAC record can, as it's an SVCP record, in an alias form, point to anywhere. And then the actual definitions are on that where it's pointed anywhere. So this is the kind of idea we had, because I know that people who publish DNS often say, oh, if I change something in my zone, the resolver will pick it up. I can tell you, resolver the Akamai resolver will not pick it up, because it was strictly parent-centric if you are kind of following it in bailiwick or in domain. So that's why I think long-term having a clear understanding on what is parent, what is child, and having a mechanism with the alias record to point to anywhere you want, pretty much, it is the way forward.
Okay, well, hopefully, Patrick, that answers your question. Yeah, thank you for that sort of rapid response, Ralph. That's most helpful. But I guess all the more reason to join the discussion at RIPE. Is that in the DNS working group that you're giving that presentation?
Yes, that's correct. Wednesday.
Right. So, which is a way of just reminding everyone that the RIPE meeting runs from 27th November through 1st December. So coming up pretty soon now, next week. So next Wednesday, then the DNS working group. If you're not in Rome, you can join remotely as well for that. So well worth doing. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have anything else that you want to mention whilst we're on the call this week? Give you a chance to do so. As always, either just unmute or pop it in the chat if that is easier. I'm not seeing any hands raised, and I don't think anyone's typing. In which case, I think we're done for this week. So thank you, Robin, if you can hear us in your kitchen as you're sort of finishing off the family dinner. Yeah, much appreciated for doing that. I hope that was useful, everyone. Yeah, just a reminder, this time next week we'll be talking about blockchain DNS. Dave will bring his popcorn and things to throw, probably, at least virtually. So should be a good discussion, I think, on that. But have a fantastic week in the meantime, everyone. Enjoy Thanksgiving, those of you based in the States or US expatriates celebrating overseas. And let's catch up same time next week. So see you all then. Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.